Welcome to the official YouTube channel for me, the Colin Cowherd Podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of our football content this postseason. Going to have instant reactions after every big game. Thanks. College football reactions presented by JLab. JLab has the best audio products in the game. They're ready to take care of you this football season. Traveling to watch your favorite team or just streaming the game at home, find the Blue Box at Walmart, Target, Best Buy, or go to jlab.com. Love their stuff. The Blue Box. All right, instant reaction. I got all these notes. I got pages and pages of notes. I don't even know if I'll get to them, but I like to take notes during big games. Buckeyes win 28-14. They'll face Notre Dame and be about a touchdown favorite against the Irish. They've got a playmaker and skill advantage. I mean, that game tonight, there was a lot of speed between Texas's defense and Ohio State's playmaking on offense and defense. Nobody should be happier about this playoff than Ryan Day. I mean, his season could have ended with a Michigan loss, and if he survives, just having to live in Columbus for the next year until they face Michigan again, or now playing for the national championship and playing their three best football games of the year, against Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas. So, I mean, this playoff, again, it just allows things. It's got an NFL feel to it. It allows you to lose late. It's not all about when you lose. And, coaches have bad Saturdays and bad Sundays. I mean, Andy Reid got beat by Antonio Pierce last year, all right? And, Ryan Day had a stinker, outthought the room against Michigan. It happens. Great coaches have bad games. I mean, I watch more NFL than college because of my job, and I have to. But I've seen Sean McVay go into a game, and they just don't bring anything to the table. They don't have a lot of juice. They don't have energy. The play calling so-so. So I think Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, between the two, I think Ohio State's got a good coaching staff. Yes, they have a lot of good players. But, Georgia's got a lot of good players. Alabama does. LSU does. There are a lot of good players in college football. Ohio State, 42-0 in the playoff in the first quarter. They come out rolling in these games, and that's coaching. That is your game plan. In the second half, I thought just Ohio State's overall talent separated the two. But in the first half, and Ohio State had that great screenplay for a touchdown late. That was about all their offense. But in the second half, Ohio State start making plays. They put together that 13-play drive, and defenses wear down. The offense knows what's coming. It's choreography. Defense, guys are on the field, 330-pound defensive linemen, and they wear down. And I thought Texas, as the game went on, that 13-play drive, Texas didn't quite have the energy and the juice, and Ohio State has such elevated skill. I mean, there's so many good players. It is interesting, though. This is not a great year for college quarterbacks. In the NFL, all 8 divisions were won by the best quarterback in the division. But in college football, Shedeur, Sanders, and Cam Ward are the 2 best quarterbacks easily, and they didn't make the playoff. So the NFL and college may feel like they're getting closer, but I mean, I think we can say this. Drew Aller is okay. Will Howard, solid, not spectacular. You start looking at the quarterbacks that were in the playoff. I'm not a huge Quinn Ewers fan. A year ago, everybody was telling me he was a first rounder. I thought his mechanics were hit and miss. I don't think he elevates others. He made a couple of nice plays in this game, but again, I mean, the Sark's screen game, the electric perimeter players Texas has. He made a nice throw, very patient in front of a massive offensive line to a tight end. That stuff's not as available in the NFL. I don't see Quinn Ewers. To me, he's a 6th-round pick in the draft. I think Will Howard moves much better, bigger, stronger athlete. It's just funny that Quinn Ewers is one of the highest paid guys in college football. And I think I'm pretty good at, the quarterback thing. I didn't like Zach Jones. I didn't like Daniel Jones. I did like Darnold. I think over the course of time, I've missed on some quarterbacks, but I think I'm pretty accurate on the quarterback stuff. I like it. I talk to a lot of people. I've never really, I don't really see it with Quinn Ewers. He's fine, but I think Texas should have a more, a higher end quarterback. But let's be honest, Michigan struggled at quarterback this year. USC struggled at quarterback. Alabama, Jalen Milroe was hit and miss at quarterback. It's just not a good year. And I also think we have to be honest about this. And I like this. I wrote some notes. The SEC, it got humbled. I mean, Texas, all those SEC fans telling you, oh, Texas, Oklahoma, watch out. You're coming to the SEC. Yeah, Texas was the best team in the SEC. Well, what about Georgia? Yeah, Georgia had Texas's number, but Georgia's offensive line wasn't very good. They were on a backup quarterback. They didn't have a lot of zip to their offense. And in the end, the power of college football has shifted north, and it's a long time coming. I love college football, but it got very, very regional. And we all know, I mean, listen, we all know the SEC was paying players, often through churches. It was like a poorly kept secret. Not everybody, but there was a lot of money exchanging hands in the SEC. It was their little secret. I mean, it got so bad with Ole Miss, people finally ratted on Hugh Freeze, but there was a lot of money exchanging hands. And now everybody can pay college football players, and a lot of these northern universities have more money than these small college towns in the South. I mean, Alabama's athletic director is begging fans like bake sales and car washes, please give money. There's a lot of money at Michigan and Ohio State and Notre Dame and Penn State. There's a lot of money in those schools, Oregon and Phil Knight, Washington and Seattle. So I think there's a changing of the tide that if you're just going to pay players, the teams up north can go buy them. And I mean, Notre Dame's defense as good as anything I saw in the SEC. Ohio State's the most talented team. Michigan was easily the most talented team last year and the best team. So that's not to say Georgia's going to wilt and go away. But I think there's been a shift, and I see it with my eyes over the last 2 years. I mean, listen, Notre Dame lost to Georgia twice close with Brian Kelly. And so you could see it slowly building as the transfer portal is ramped up over the last several years. But Ohio State looks like the best team, and it just was a matter of time to wear down Texas. And I love it. I love Notre Dame. Listen, I grew up, I said this on FS1 today, I grew up with college football powers, Washington, Nebraska, Penn State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State. And there were some good SEC teams, but Texas always underachieved. And, USC had some good teams occasionally, but there was a lot of northern teams. And then over the last 20 years, the powers really shifted to the South. And it's been fun, but it feels like there's a swing back north. And I think it's good for the sport. I think Notre Dame and Ohio State's going to get a massive rating. I think Notre Dame's defense and run game can sustain some drives. It's going to have to be a low-scoring game. But Ohio State, they make enough mistakes. You can pressure Will Howard into mistakes. He's not exceptional. He's not a big playmaker. They had some penalties tonight. So, Ohio State will be a favorite. They'll probably be a little more tight. Just think about that national championship game. The pressure is going to be on Ohio State. All right, they're the ones that have $20 million in NIL money. They've got 12 five-star guys. Notre Dame has one. So Notre Dame comes in underdog, excellent defense, great secondary, excellent coach, smart team, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. They're banged up on the offensive line. So is Ohio State. So, I think Ohio State should be a 7-point favorite. I think Ohio State's going to win, but they make enough mistakes so Notre Dame will have a fighting chance. And I like Riley Leonard. I know you don't. I know I do. But I'm happy for Ohio State. It's interesting because I supported Jim Harbaugh. And I've had so many Michigan fans, come up to me over the last year and thank me for supporting him. But, I just got this. Ohio State's a 9.5-point favorite. I'd probably take Notre Dame in the points there, but I think Ohio State's the better team. but it's not like, I'm just a Michigan man. I like Big Ten football. I grew up as a West Coast kid and I watched a lot of Rose Bowls. I went to a couple of Rose Bowls. So I was always kind of a Pac-12 Big Ten fan. And I just love the northern stadiums and the northern fans and the northern tradition. It's nothing against the SEC or the Big 12, but that's what I grew up with. That's what I like. And what you like at 9 years old is what you like in sports. So I grew up with the Big Ten and the Pac-12. And I just love seeing, Penn State when I grew up was an independent, but I just love seeing these big northern programs where the fans go in bad weather and they care so much about their team and they travel so much. And Big Ten teams have always been willing to play big out-of-conference games. Ohio State has, Michigan has. I love that about them. Washington has. Oregon's willing to play anybody now. Those two teams are in the conference. So, listen, if you were expecting by adding a bunch of teams to the playoff, 12-team playoff, which will expand to 14 or 16 teams, if you were expecting that this was going to open up the opportunities for multiple national champions that have never won before, I love you, but you're a hopeless romantic. It's harder for the little guy now to win. I mean, you could imagine if you're a little guy and, okay, you beat Clemson, and here comes Oregon, and now it's Georgia, and now it's Ohio State. Little guys have no chance to win this thing. It's just, Penn State was eventually, they got the easy run. They got SMU and they got Boise State, but eventually Penn State, they faced Notre Dame, and they just didn't have the firepower on the perimeter. But the rich are going to get richer, and that's just the reality. I'll tell you, I wouldn't have guessed it 5 years ago. Notre Dame playing for a national championship and playing a northern team. I always felt like Ohio State was the one SEC team up north. Just the zealotry and the passion. And they've always, Ohio State recruits better than Michigan does. They do. They've got more pros. Harbaugh, obviously, his last year at Michigan was a stacked team, but that was an exception. Ohio State's, to me, has always had, on average, 8 out of 10 years, has more NFL bodies than Michigan. But when you watch this Ohio State team, go since Brian Hartline got there and started recruiting receivers, Lord, they just got NFL first-round dudes everywhere. And when you have those kind of players, and I thought Texas did a good job bracketing Jeremiah Smith tonight. You can only hold Ohio State down. Sawyer's going to be a first or a high second-round player, the guy who made that sack and strip for a long touchdown. Buckeyes just have playmakers on the D-line. Caleb Downs could be the number 1 pick next year. Kid transfer from Alabama. 2 first-round level, NFL receivers eventually. Jeremiah Smith's a freshman, but there's just a lot of talent. The running backs for Ohio State, those are top of the second-round guys. There's just too many good players. So Notre Dame will have to play, turnover-free, very few penalties. Ohio State also, they jump out to lead. So Notre Dame likely playing from behind. That's a tall order. Way to go, Buckeyes. Way to go, Big Ten.